Hi there, I'm Fariha. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. I'm going to help you understand the cause of type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance and help you feel like yourself again. Thank you so much for being here. By the end of this masterclass, I'm going to explain to you what's really causing cravings, fatigue, and weight gain in your case and how to stop it at the root, and some science-backed shifts that will help you improve your blood sugar naturally without extreme diets or gym sessions. And I'm going to give you some examples of real life people just like you who came off medication and started to feel like themselves again. I'll also give you a roadmap of how you can reclaim your life. So who am I and what am I talking about? Well, I am Fariha Rizvi. I am a diabetes specialist. I've been a medical doctor for 18 years and I've treated well over 10,000 patients in my career. I trained in London, but I'm currently practicing in Dubai, where I am head of obesity medicine. And I used to have a TV show in London. I also have a radio show on and off. And for the last 3 years, I have been a health coach. And you may have seen my social media pages. I've got over 100,000 followers across all of my social media platforms. So if you're watching this, you've probably been told that diabetes is a lifelong condition. Maybe the doctor or nurse that you've seen has not really given you much of a holistic approach. That's something that I've heard many times, and they just keep adjusting your medication. Maybe you've tried cutting out carbs and walking more, but you just can't see your blood sugar improving. Maybe you're gaining belly fat. Maybe you're exhausted or feeling constantly worried about your blood and your health. I get it, because this is what I see every single day in my clinic. And it's no surprise that you're experiencing this, because millions of people all over the world are experiencing the same. Diabetes is rising across every continent on planet Earth. And this is information from the International Diabetes Federation, which is an organization that collects data about diabetes from all over the world. And as you can see, in 2024, which was last year, diabetes was already at such high levels. But what you can see is that on every continent on planet Earth, diabetes is set to increase. Just look at those statistics. I mean, if you look at the Middle East and North Africa, because that is where I am right now, diabetes is going to go up by almost 100%. In Africa, it's going to go up by 142%. These are terrifying numbers. And I also know how difficult it is to lose weight and change your diet, because guess what? I have lived through exactly what you are living through. In 2018, after my 3 kids, I was sleep deprived. I was a trainee doctor. I wasn't sleeping very well. I certainly wasn't eating very well. I used to have a cookie and a large vanilla latte for breakfast every day on my way to the hospital. And as you can see, I was clearly overweight. And in 2019, I decided to overhaul my lifestyle. And thankfully, I've maintained it for the last 6 years. So this is me in 2025. I've lost around 12 kilos in total, purely through diet and lifestyle changes. And thankfully, I've managed to keep it off. Because if I had carried on the way that I was, I'm sure I would have been diabetic by now. I have a really strong family history of diabetes. Practically everyone in my family has diabetes. I had an aunt who died of diabetes. I had both grandparents who died of diabetes. It's really rampant in my family, and I really know that I have to be extra careful and cautious, particularly as I'm getting older. So my own experiences from my own diet and lifestyle challenges, and because of the hundreds of messages I get through my website and through my social media channel, I have launched my very own diabetes reversal program. This is the only type of program in its world which is led by an endocrinologist like me, and it is called the Dr. Rizvi Blood Sugar Blueprint. So let's talk a little bit more about diabetes. I want to touch upon environmental factors. So, as you know, diabetes is rampant, as we've already discussed. But what I want to point your attention to is that the leading cause of death in high income countries, the top three there, ischemic heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, and stroke, these are all also related to diabetes. Then you have lung cancer, COPD, which is a type of breathing illness, colon cancer, kidney disease, high blood pressure, and diabetes. So 9 out of 10 of the top things that kill people all over the world are related to lifestyle. And guess what? Diabetes features in pretty much all of these conditions, particularly heart disease. The thing that kills people with diabetes is heart attack and stroke. And this is because of the modern food environment. The modern food environment has been controlled by these big food companies. So the food that we get that is processed contains artificial ingredients, really harmful types of carbohydrates like high fructose corn syrup and refined carbs, which means that the whole grain that God or Mother Nature has made has been stripped of all of the nutrients, and we are left with basically just the carbohydrate from the grain. And this gives us a dopamine hit. It makes the food addictive. And the most important thing is that fiber has been removed. Fiber is incredibly important for blood sugar and blood cholesterol control. So this is a whole grain. What do I mean when I talk about whole grains? Well, a whole grain is a perfect structure that, again, Mother Nature or God, whatever you believe in, has made. The whole grain has an outer layer of bran, which is the outer brown layer. That is filled with fiber and B vitamins and minerals. Inside that is the endosperm, which is the carbohydrate middle layer, which has some protein and vitamins. And inside that, we have the germ, which has further nutrients, particularly phytochemicals, which are protective chemicals that are found in plants. The germ has that. But in a refined grain, what you are left with is just the endosperm. So the beneficial bran and germ has been removed. And when we eat a refined grain, it really, really spikes our blood sugar. So the risk factors for prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, and insulin resistance, there are modifiable risk factors and non-modifiable. So modifiable are things that you can do about your health. So losing weight if you are overweight or obese, improving your lifestyle. So if you have a very sedentary lifestyle where you're not very active, you can gradually increase your exercise, and also focusing on the forms of carbohydrate that you are eating, particularly sugar. Sugar is a basic carbohydrate. Non-modifiable things, so age, as we are getting older, everyone's health is tending to get worse. There's not really a lot we can do about age. Ethnicity, so you have already heard that I'm South Asian. Everyone in my family has diabetes. I'm sure you have people in your family that have diabetes too. And of course, a family history, because this is related to genetics. So 90% of adults that have type 2 diabetes in the UK are overweight or obese. So obesity and overweight are very closely related to diabetes. And this is not just true of the UK. This is true of people all over the world that have diabetes. As you increase in BMI, the risk of diabetes goes up, and this is particularly relevant for South Asian people. So if you see at a BMI of 20, around 10% of people who have a BMI of 20 who are South Asian, they will already have diabetes. But it's very different if you are of a Caucasian background. Caucasian people tend to develop diabetes when they are much more overweight. And this is something that's really important for people from a South Asian ethnic minority background. But is BMI everything? Of course it isn't. BMI is related to your weight and height. It's a simple formula that we use to calculate, but BMI is also related to how much muscle you have on board. So you can see these two men next to each other. They have the same BMI, but you can see they have very different body compositions. So how do we assess body composition? One thing that we will do is a waist circumference. And waist circumference is very closely related to your risk of disease. So men that have a waist circumference of more than 94 centimeters, they are at increased risk of health problems. If your waist circumference is over 102 centimeters, which is just over a meter, they are at much more increased risk, even if their BMI is healthy. Women with a waist circumference of 80 centimeters or more are at increased risk of health problems, particularly diabetes. And if waist circumference is above 88 or more, then even if they have a healthy BMI, they are at increased risk. So men and women, anyone watching this webinar, I want you to measure your waist circumference in centimeters and also measure your BMI. It's super simple to do, and it's really important that you track this. And what is prediabetes? Well, prediabetes is the stage before full-blown diabetes. I want you to think of diabetes as a spectrum, or blood sugar control as a spectrum. So you have normal blood sugar, then your average blood sugar is rising because of insulin resistance, because of age, genetics, sedentary lifestyle, maybe family history, maybe carbohydrate intake. And with time, your body is not able to control your blood sugar. The insulin hormone that you are making is not working very well, and gradually your blood sugar rises. So pre-diabetes is the amber stage before you go into full-blown red diabetes. So what can you do about diabetes? You need to tackle every aspect of your health when you have diabetes. And these are some international guidelines that help to address just that. So there are 5 particularly important health behaviors that people with diabetes need to address. And that is sitting, stepping, sweating, strengthening, and sleep. And these are the things that I talk about every day on my social media pages. And this is exactly what I aim to cover inside my diabetes blueprint. So when you are sitting for too long, this can worsen blood sugar. So what you should be doing is getting up every 30 minutes or so to try and lower your blood sugar. A 5 to 6 minute brisk walk per day can increase your life expectancy, believe it or not. If you are sweating, so if you're exercising that brings on a little bit of a sweat, that can also improve your metabolic profile, which means your blood sugar, blood pressure, and blood cholesterol. You also need to aim for strengthening resistance exercise, as this improves insulin sensitivity. It helps your own insulin hormone to work better and to control glucose better. And you need to sleep somewhere between 7 to 8 hours, because people that don't sleep well are in a constant state of stress, and that is very bad for blood sugar control. Exercise. So exercise is beneficial to anyone and everyone on planet Earth, particularly those with prediabetes and type 2 diabetes, and even patients that have had diabetes for a long time and maybe who have complications, even they should be exercising regularly. But how intensely? Well, to be honest, the exercise that is best for you is the type of exercise that you will do consistently. So whether that is walking, whether it's cycling, whether it's gardening, because you can do that very safely at a moderate pace for around 30 to 40 minutes every day, 4 to 5 times a week. If you are fitter or younger, then you should try and engage in some more vigorous exercise like jogging, swimming, skipping, or even football. So what about nutrition, I hear you ask? There is no one diet that can fix diabetes or is suited to everybody. Everybody is different when it comes to their dietetic preferences or the foods that they prefer, and that is just normal. So nutrition should be thought of as therapy, and we want people to have healthier eating patterns, to maintain the pleasure of eating. I never want to deny people food. It's all about education. Once you understand the different food groups, then you will be able to adjust your diet accordingly. Sleep is also incredibly important. As I've mentioned, in my clinic, I see hundreds of patients a month that have disturbed sleep. That may be because of menopause, it may be because of shift work, it may just be because of the lifestyle we all have, where we tend to work late, eat late, get home late, watch TV or doom scroll till midnight or 1 a.m. And we suddenly don't realize it, but we are constantly then sleep deprived, and that just becomes a normal routine. But that is very detrimental to health. So I'm going to tell you about my two favorite clients, who are John and Martha. So these are real life people that I've worked there with. They may seem familiar to you because these are the types of patients I see every day. So John, I saw face to face in my private clinic. He had high blood pressure, he was obese, and he was on 4 medications for diabetes and 2 for blood pressure. He brought in a massive list of medications, and his usual diabetes doctor had told him that he needs to start insulin because the tablets were not working anymore and his blood sugar was too high. I saw him in my private clinic. I went through diet and lifestyle with him and sleep and all of the things we've talked about. And at age 79, he was able to lose 7 kilos of belly fat. And I was able to stop almost all of his medications. He was just left with one diabetes medication on his 80th birthday. John was a remarkable individual. He did not want to go onto insulin. He listened to everything I said. He was coachable. He kept in touch and he remained accountable. John is absolutely incredible. He's absolutely my favorite. And then we have Martha. Martha was such a sweet 47-year-old, full-time working single mum. She had been told she has pre-diabetes and high blood pressure. She was also obese. She was struggling with perimenopausal symptoms, and she had been told she needed to start diabetes and blood pressure medication. And again, she worked with me for 2 months. She followed my diet and lifestyle plans. She signed up for some supplements that I'm a distributor for. And she lost even more weight than John. She lost 10 kilos in weight over 2 to 3 months, and she was able to avoid diabetes medication. And the amazing thing about Marta is Marta and I worked remotely together. She signed up to my diabetes reversal program that I was running last year. She came to Zoom calls. She answered her messages. Marta and I never met face to face, but still she was able to improve her health dramatically just by working with me. So these are just some of my clients. I have coached hundreds of clients all over the world, and my messages are full of more inquiry. So that is why I've set up, again, the Blood Sugar Blueprint. I have had 2 or 3 different coaching programs over the last 3 years, which I have had to close because I am a full-time working doctor. I have a full-time day job. And so it's very difficult for me to take on more clients in my own time. But because of the massive demand, I have reopened this, which is the Blood Sugar Blueprint. This is my best ever coaching program. And my promise is that I will help people lose at least 10 kilos in weight, reverse pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes, and hopefully put it into remission in around 12 weeks without fad diets, harmful medications, or committing your life to the gym. So these are my take-home recommendations for you. I want you to follow a low glycemic index diet, eat only whole grains, as I've discussed, vegetables, fruit. All of these things can regulate insulin and blood sugar. Include lean protein into your diet a few times a week. Try and prioritize plant protein where you can. And only eat healthy fats, so nuts, seeds, fatty fish, olive oil. These sorts of things are healthy fats. Prioritize fiber in your diet as well. Fiber, as we've already said, reduces blood sugar and also reduces blood cholesterol. Vitamins and minerals are incredibly important, and I talk about these more, particularly vitamin D and vitamin B12. These you can get from your diet, but your diet has to be varied enough. So if you choose to join my program, you will look the best that you have in years. I've shared my own very embarrassing photos there. You will hopefully have blood tests that are a lot better, and you will finally be free of the fear of diabetes, and you will be equipped with a system that you can follow for life. So my coaching may only last 3 or 6 months with you, but you will have the tools to continue to thrive long after I am done with you. So like I said, I work full time and I coach patients in my free time. So I have very limited spaces. If you are ready to lose weight and look amazing and achieve outcomes like John and Martha, then apply online. I will put the link in the description below. This link is to book a call with me or someone from my team where we can talk about your problems and see if you are a good fit to work with me on my diabetes blueprint. Like I said, spaces are limited. It's only application only, and we only take the best possible candidates who will have the best possible outcome, people who are coachable, people who are committed. Remember, this is a financial investment into your own health, and so I expect the best from you, and I will give you my best. So if you want to book a call, please check out the link in the description below. Many thanks.